podcast. Today I have my boy Lucas.
What's up?
How's it going, brother?
Good, how are you?
Thanks for coming.
Always a pleasure.
Appreciate it. So today we're gonna get to know Lucas. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do for a living?
So my name is Lucas. I have a smart technology company. We developed a line of wearable accessories.
Nice.
And with the accessories, they allow you to do things like get into your front door, get into your car. You can pay debit, you can store your ID, and it's all connected to an app on your phone.
Nice.
So, for example, we have a ring, and with that ring, you can, if you have our smart system, you can use it to unlock the front door of your house, or to get into your car in the morning, to pay for your coffee at the till, or to pay for your dinner when you're going out.
So what gave you the idea to start with a project like this?
Well, I used to live in an apartment similar to this one.
Okay.
And you had to use a key fob to get into the building, and they were charging like $80 for a key fob.
Okay.
And so, me being a student at the time, I was like, this is kind of crazy. I don't want to pay $80 for this small little key fob.
Right.
And so I went online and I did some alternative research and found out there was some other things that had already been developed in specifically Shenzhen, China.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ordered some things in and I just kind of started tinkering with them and playing with them. And I ended up meeting a guy in my building he was a very smart guy. He was a machinist. He was a metal worker. He also knew how to blow glass, and he was just a very tech forward guy.
Okay.
And he kind of taught me how to use the access keys, which is essentially what the key fob is an access key.
Okay.
So he taught me how to use them and program them and a little bit about how they work. Other than that, it was just kind of self-taught, and I started selling them for, instead of $80, for $40 to people in my building.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of them going to the front desk, to the concierge, and buying a key fob, probably like you had to do too, to get into the building,
Yeah.
I would copy their key fob. It would take me about 30 seconds, and I would sell them a key fob for $40 cash.
Gotcha.
The nice thing about these key fobs was I was paying like 25 cents for one of the key fobs.
Right.
And I was able to sell them for $40 cash,
Right.
and it would take me like 30 seconds.
So the return on investment was pretty high.
Yeah, it was really high. So from the key fob, I partnered with my business partner Nathan, and we ended up turning the key fob and branching out into a wristband, and then into the ring, and then we actually have a sticker that you can put on your phone as well.
Nice.
And for women, well, I guess men as well, we have a fingernail that you can lay down and you can use it to pay debit or get into your house, whatever it might be.
Dope.
So yeah, so now we have a range of wearable access keys, and
So how long has the company been running for, like, to start?
like 3.5 years now.
Gotcha.
Coming up on 4 years now.
Earlier this year, you went to Silicon Valley as well, right? How was that?
That was definitely different. Yeah, so we went to Silicon Valley to do a pitch conference.
Yeah.
So we have spent the last 3.5 years developing the hardware side of the product.
Okay.
And we've actually recently pivoted due to some new technological advances that Apple has allowed us to use. So for those of you guys who don't know, Apple is actually coming out with a kind of a debit card.
Okay.
And you're going to be able to upload all of your different cards onto this one card
Okay.
and connect it to your phone
Okay.
and use that Apple card as like an all-purpose card for everything. So in order to do that, they had to release what's called NFC, near frequency communication.
Okay.
And Samsung has always been ahead of Apple in the tech side of things, so they've had this ability for the last little while now. But Apple just released it so that you can access this NFC capability in your phone,
Okay.
which allows us to tether the ring to your phone as well.
Gotcha.
So now that we've spent all this time developing the hardware, we need funding to develop the software.
Okay.
So that was why we went to Silicon Valley. So we went there for a pitch contest to basically pitch our product in front of a panel of investors. It went very well. We received great feedback. We didn't end up getting investment, which is okay. And I think that was one of the things that I really had to learn. I went there with the expectation that, like, if I don't get investment money here, like, we kind of failed for some reason, you know what I mean? So we didn't get the money, which is totally okay, because we learned so much while we were there. We part of the pitch competition, there was a workshop on the last day, so we got to speak with further investors. We got to learn how to better our pitch and how to communicate more with customers and possible people who would want to work with the company.
Right.
So
Were there a lot of companies there, like, at the event?
Yeah, there was a lot of companies there. So what happened is...
So they had all ranges of different types of technologies that they wanted funding for? Okay.
Oh yeah, there was everything from somebody was making the cannabis market is booming right now. Someone was making a cannabis fortune cookie.
Okay.
And they had spent all this money opening up a factory for a cannabis fortune cookie, and no one wanted to invest. So they're in $250,000 trying to get this product out, and these poor guys got torn apart. It was a huge wake-up call for me.
So what was the cannabis fortune cookie about? I don't get it. Like,
so
is it
it's basically
a cookie, like an edible?
Yeah, it's an
gotcha.
edible. And then you have your little funny fortune inside.
Gotcha.
So it's like a commodity edible item.
I see.
But it was a huge wake-up call for me, man. We spent thousands of dollars going to Silicon, staying there, eating, manpower, entering the competition, etc. for a 4-minute time slot on stage.
But the fact that you guys took the initiative and did that in the first place, right? And that's the experience in of itself is like what comes out of that, right? And so whether you got funding or not, it's like some people have, because I come across so many people that have ideas and concepts and ambitions towards like launching something, but they never take initiative or they never take the next step. So the fact that you guys even reached that level to go to Silicon Valley, which is a big thing. Yeah. Like that's an accomplishment in of itself.
Yeah.
So,
thank you. Yeah. No, it was just, I think the biggest thing I learned there was definitely how much people's time can be worth and how much my time is actually worth, which is a big wake-up call because I consider my time to be very highly valued.
As should everyone. Yeah,
exactly. And it was funny because there was a wide range of companies who were in the competition. From startups to startup is a very wide range term. You can have a startup with 300 employees. That's still a startup. 500 employees, that's still a startup. My startup has 4 employees. So there were startups there with 50, 100, 200 employees already, millions of dollars invested into them already. And these companies were coming on stage to pitch, and these companies were way more highly developed than mine. Executives who have been in the game for way longer than I have, and they came on. There was one company in particular, I'm not going to mention who they were or anything, but they came on and they're creating sort of like an Airbnb, but a more user-friendly Airbnb. Like, how many times have you gone to an Airbnb and it says that it's going to be 50, or there's like 2 bedrooms and 3 beds, and there's actually like 2 bedrooms and 1 tiny little cot on the floor. Anyways, this is their business. Verified Airbnb. They had millions of dollars invested into them, and they go on stage, and their pitch was about a 25-minute long pitch that they tried to fit into a 4-minute long presentation. There's a buzzer on the side of the stage, and as soon as it hits 4 minutes, the buzzer goes off and you have to get off stage. These guys flew all the way in from Switzerland to come to Silicon Valley to present their product. They got to maybe the second slide in their presentation, and they got taken off stage.
Damn.
And these guys' company is already worth millions of dollars.
Gotcha.
I had to go on stage last.
Right.
And I had the smallest company out of everyone there. And my business partner ended up having flight issues and couldn't get there for the pitch that night.
Uh-oh.
So I had to go on by myself.
You went on solo?
Yeah. And it ended up going very well. I had one of the best pitches of the night. It was awesome. But just the fact that no one really cares how much you value your time at, because they have their own perspective on what their time is worth. And if they say you have 4 minutes, it doesn't matter if you spent $50,000 to get here, or the guy from down the road who already lives in Silicon Valley literally put his pants and his shirt on and walked down the road and got to present his product. It doesn't matter. Everyone gets the same 4 minutes. So it was a huge wake-up call for me in just the fact that, like, there's really levels to this game that we're trying to play. And the level that I'm trying to reach, I'm trying to be on the other side of the table where people are pitching their product to me. And I was just like, wow, this is where I need to be, and this is the level I need to get to. So yeah, it was, even though we didn't get the funding, it was well worth the trip, the networking, the people we met, the exposure we got. It was
so
awesome.
Let me ask you this: what's your ultimate goal? Like, what's your driving factor? Like, why do you do everything that you're doing in regards to launching a business, a product? Like, why?
Like, I think there's like a couple, like, there's multiple reasons, but I think the biggest thing is the same thing that we all want. You know what I mean? Like, financial freedom for some people have it for different reasons, but I want financial freedom for my family. And for me, and like, I live out here on my own. My family all lives in BC, and it's like a 7-hour flight for me to even get there. So
did you grow up in BC?
Yeah, I grew up in BC.
How long ago did you come to Toronto?
5 years ago now. I came out here. I actually followed my girlfriend at the time out here and started going to school. And then she ended up going home, and I stayed.
So she went back to BC?
Yeah. So I come from a huge Italian family. We have dinner every Sunday, every day. My family has dinner every night. Sundays is like big family dinners. I have little cousins. My grandparents are getting old. My grandma, rest in peace, just passed away. And I think at the end of the day, the reason why I push so hard is because the quicker I reach financial freedom in my mind, the quicker I can go back. Because the opportunity isn't there where I'm from to reach the level that I want to reach.
Gotcha. Do you have any siblings, or?
I have a younger brother. Yeah, he plays hockey still. He's 20 years old now. He plays hockey in northern BC. He's a goalie.
Nice.
And even, like, that's another motivator right there. Like, my dream when I started this was when my brother Matthew's done hockey, he'll be able to move to Toronto, have like a better life for himself, work for my company. I'll be able to buy a small apartment for me and my brother to live in, like 2 bedrooms. Like, that's like a dream for me, you know. That would make my mom so happy. So yeah, I think that's just the biggest motivator, man, is I'm essentially out here on my own. Some of my friends have made the plunge and moved down here as well. My cousin just moved down here.
Nice.
But yeah, like, I just at the end of the day want to go home. You know what I mean? And I can go home if I wanted to. My parents always tell me, come home. My grandparents call me every week and tell me to come home.
Man, some of the most successful people are the ones that take the biggest risks, right? Step out of the comfort zone.
Exactly.
But so everybody has their journey in that regard. And so what was the hardest thing for you to, I guess, once you were settled in Toronto? Because, like, going from all that family-oriented lifestyle, it must have been a huge shift in terms of lifestyle, right?
Yeah. I was fortunate enough when I moved down here. I moved down here with my, at the time, was my girlfriend.
Right, yeah.
And for me, she was in a dance program, so she was gone. It was a very high intensity dance program, or academy, I don't know what you want to call it. So she was there every day for multiple hours. And food has always been something that's just like centered me and my family. Like, no matter how brutal my day was, whatever, I come home and it's like my mom, my dad, my brother, my whatever it is, we're all there having dinner, talking about our day, whatever it might be. And I think the most difficult thing for me, and it still is, even the last week has been kind of tough, is just, I still cook. Like, I'll cook food. Like, my roommates will say, yeah, you only cook chicken or beef and rice, whatever. I love to cook. I love to have dinner with people. And the hardest thing is just sitting at a dinner table by yourself, and having all this great food that you cooked in front of you and no one to share it with, and all the things that come with that, like talking about your day, and just being like, this is what I did, Ma, like, Dad, like, what'd you do today? So that's, and still to this day, is like the toughest thing.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like that communal gathering, and it's like a cultural thing too. I feel like our cultures are similar in that sense. We're very family oriented, but the thing is, it's like the society that we live in. It kind of pulls you away from that, and it forces you to become independent and isolated. So, and then you kind of have that yearning for that community, right? So that's why it's good to surround yourself with like good friends, good people, and like even when I have friends over, I guess like you said, I always cook for them, and to them they're like, why are you doing this, right? But this, like you mentioned, it's like that communal. It's like, listen, I'm gonna share. It's like, and the way you express affection and like love. It's like, I'm gonna cook for you, I'm gonna feed you. Right? I don't expect anything from you, but like I want to do this as a gesture. Like, it's not even. But that's how I've been brought up. That's a cultural thing, right? Well, most people are confused, like, well, why is this guy feeding me? But they love it, right? So I know exactly what you mean. And even growing up too, like when we were younger, we always the same thing. Every dinner time, like dinner was served, everybody got together, family got together, we talk. But then as we started getting older, like everybody's schedule was getting more and more hectic, and then everybody, and then the family starts to become distant because everybody's so busy and like doing their thing, which is unfortunate. And that's why in today's day and age, a lot of people feel lonely, and like because there's less of those communal get-togethers and gatherings, whether it's with like a group of friends or, I don't know, being a part of something, right? That's why I joined like martial arts or anything like that, a class or a group or whatever, where there's that structure of like, I'm a part of something, I'm a part of a group, and it's in our human nature, I guess, to have that comfort and a support system, a communication, socializing, and that's the thing, even with all the technology and everything, isn't it? There's a fact where it's like everybody feels more lonely than ever because and they have social anxiety too, right? Like, because they've lost that skill where you interact one-on-one with someone because of texting back and forth, and like there's a huge disconnect, right?
And I think that's a huge thing with the whole depression and entrepreneur lifestyle, because when you're a self-employed entrepreneur and you're at home a lot, like for me, for example, let's just go through a day, what my last month has been like. So every day you wake up 7 in the morning, or 6:30, 7 in the morning, you go to the gym. The gym's over with, you come home, you shower, now you're at your computer, quick email check, and then it's like, okay, now I'm in my room by myself, it's 9 a.m. And now I start my day, I'm alone, doing whatever it is on my computer until 4 o'clock. Okay, let's say, alone. My lunch break is spent alone. Then at 4 o'clock, I'm like, okay, I need to make some dinner. Now I make this nice dinner that I look forward to all day.
You eat it.
And then you sit and you eat it alone. And it's like, you get into this daily routine of being alone and alone, and you're like,
isolation feels start to kick in.
Yes, and then you get isolated, and then it can be tough. And it can also be the best thing ever if you can use it to your advantage.
Yes.
Like, that's one thing that I've had to learn is, like, on this journey or whatever that you want to call it that we're taking, you're going to spend a lot of time alone, especially when you're pushing yourself to the limit that we're trying to push ourselves to. Like, don't get me wrong, I do go out and do things sometimes,
right?
But it's very slim to none, you know what I mean? Like, because you end up getting caught up in this routine of being alone and working every day, and then you're a new entrepreneur, so you might not be making a lot of money. You might not be able to do a lot of things that you want to do, like, for example, even going to restaurants, going out for dinner. Things like these can be super tough when you're trying to get a business off the ground and, like, reinvest into your business. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
It can be, and that's where I think a lot of entrepreneurs get depressed, and I can see why. Like, I get the cycles that you can go through. I think I've been through a lot of the cycles. I don't think it's a depression. Like, you're not a depressed person.
It's an up and down of, like, just your state of mind.
Right? Because I really don't like the word depressed. I don't like it at all, to be honest. It's such a, like,
it's a broad label
term. Exactly. Like, I think we live on this springboard of life. Like, you need to have your ups and your downs, and your downs will determine your ups.
Exactly. Because when you're at those low points too, you need to, I guess your mind is telling you need to shift your perspective. You need to work on mental hygiene, more or less, right?
Exactly.
But in today's day and age, everything is so bubble wrapped. Like, oh, are you depressed? Like, poor you. Like, okay, here, pops these pills. You'll feel good. But it's like you're not solving the root of the problem. You're just covering all the symptoms, right?
You're not giving yourself a chance.
You're not giving, and like you said, the moments that I've been in solitude where I feel those loneliness and those downs, I appreciate the highs so much more. But like you said, when you're alone and in solitude and you have those lonely feels, you kind of figure out who you are on a deeper level. And some people never experience that kind of stuff. Like, they're so distracted and caught up living their lives really for the expectations of others, or they're just busy. Like, they have so many things going on. Like, they never have a moment to sit down and think for themselves. And then that's worse, if anything, because then your life is pretty much lived in an autopilot, subconscious state.
Exactly.
It's like, even now when people go to use the washroom, they have their phones on, they're taking a shit. Like, there's zero time where you're left with your mind, and then when there is, they freak out.
And I don't get me wrong, like, I am not, like, some fucking perfect guru. Like, man, the other day I went to go to the washroom I went out for lunch. I went to go to the washroom. I pull up to the urinal and I got my phone out, and I'm like, whoa. I'm using one hand to go to the washroom, one hand to hold my it's not even now, it's just it's a mental twitch. You just go in and you grab it.
It's an addiction, right? It's programmed into our subconscious, right?
But this is the biggest thing that I've found benefits me, is it's the ability to, this is something that you have to train. It's like a muscle that you have to train. It's the ability to, when you're at either a super high or a super low, to step out of yourself and that conscious state of where you actually are right now, and step out to a higher level and look at the higher level of things, like
a broader perspective, right?
Exactly.
Keeping an open mind, because a lot of people are very narrow and closed-minded, right?
Exactly. Like, and I think, like, recently I started trading and day trading,
right?
And that has been one of the biggest
emotional roller coasters.
But it's also shown me how psychologically you change when you're riding these highs and when you're riding these lows.
Right.
Because when you're on a low, it can be like, whoa, I'm on a low right now. I need to work 100,000 times harder to get myself out of this hole and then above the hole.
Versus just suffering and like staying and going deeper into that hole.
Yes, but it's not even a sense of like versus that. It's the ability to step out when you're in that sense of, wow, I need to rush to get back. Because when you hit that low and then you try and do all these things to get yourself back to that high, you can actually put yourself at a further low. And things can come down crashing on you even harder. It's like when you have a stock that all of a sudden comes plummeting down and you're like, shit, and then it starts with a quick fat green bar rise, and then boom, it just sinks ship all the way down. You know what I mean? Because it's coming down and then it's doing everything it can, you know what I mean, to get back up there, and then something happens and it just fucking falls even further than before. And that's why, rather than hitting that low and saying, I need to do everything I can to get back to where I was, you need to
accept things.
Accept where you are. Take a step back, sit on the couch, take a step back, look, whoa, okay, from a higher level.
Even when you look at how far you've come from where you're at, sometimes people forget that as well, right?
Totally.
Like from growing up, all the accomplishments and stuff, you need to sit down and reflect on all of the trials and tribulations and the ups and downs, and whatever, 5 years prior to where you're at right now, you dreamed of being where you are in the present moment, but we failed to look back and reflect on all of the accomplishments and the milestones reached, right? And then when you do that, you get hyped and inspired and motivated to continue going, right?
And that's why I love talking to you, because even when I was coming over here today, I was walking down the road and I was like, this is what I pictured. I fucking pictured myself going on podcasts and having something to talk about that people want to hear about, that people will benefit. I mentally saw this in my head and worked hard to bring it to fruition. Because there's a difference between seeing it and then not doing anything. Like, I saw it and then I worked towards it, and it came. And I was walking over here and I was thinking, and I was like, because there's certain people you meet in life that you just connect with,
you vibe with
on a different level,
a deeper level.
And I was thinking, I was like, why do I have a connection with Masu? Like, why, like, what is our common ground? Because I think that's what it is commonality. What is that common factor for us to connect with our energies on this level? And I'm walking over here because I just live down the road. I'm walking over here and I was like, it's 100% our level of appreciation for life.
100%.
We are so appreciative for every day, every minute, the gifts and the opportunities that we've been given, coming from immigrant families, coming from not having nothing, but not having everything. You know what I mean? Being in a space where you're like my dad, the earliest memory I have of my dad is him telling me, I gave you my last name, don't embarrass it. Like, don't tarnish my last name. Like, that's yours now. You can do nothing but bring it further. So I think just the fact that we appreciate life so much that we understand that rather than sitting stagnant and just kind of going through the motions, it's like, no, we have this gift of life.
There's a higher purpose.
Yes.
We have infinite potential.
We have so much potential, and
we're living in a society where you can use every opportunity you get to like
harness it. Yes. And that's why I think we connect, is because we appreciate the life that we have and where we're at, but we know that this is where we are, and if we implement these things, certain aspects into our life, we can actually harness the fruit of this full life, of love, of joy, of happiness, of of sadness, like feel the sadness, feel the happiness.
Now you're speaking my language, brother.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, 100%, bro.
And I think that's the difference, and I don't think it's huge things added up. When you add up all the small things, yeah, it seems like a big thing, but for like things that you see off camera, like before this interview, it's like I was walking here thinking about doing breathing exercises, and this is the thing, is I was visualizing myself on a guy named Tom Bilodeau's podcast.
Tom Bilodeau,
Sorry, I don't know how. I'm walking here visualizing, and I said, I'm gonna be the first guy to walk into his podcast room and put the whole audience through a meditation before we do the podcast, and I want it to be broadcasted on the podcast, so that when people go on, they can come to our level of awareness and they can be like, okay, so then what happened? I walked in here and then Masu's like, yeah, like, check out my psoas stretcher, and I'm like, I've wanted to stretch my psoas, like, let me try that. Oh, let's do these breathing exercises, let's do these stretches, and I'm like, this is the level of connectivity, because people are like, what do you mean your energy levels are like, this is the level of energy that we have that emits, that connects, where it's like, these are just these things that reassure me that it's like, yes, this guy is on my level, and there are other people out there, and it's creating this group of people and surrounding yourself by people like you and like who have the same energies to essentially like empower your own.
But that's the thing, I feel like when you're on that level of awareness and frequency and vibe, you attract similar minded people, right? Sometimes though, I'm not gonna lie, like there's weeks on end where I don't come across people like that, and you start to kind of get the same thing. It's like a loneliness, but in terms of like everybody's sleepwalking, but you're not one to impose ideologies and like push it, like if they're not open to it. But then when you come across someone like yourself or like many other people that are on the same level, it's so refreshing. Because like when I'm talking to this person, he's actually listening to me. His mind is not wandering 10 different places. I can see he's present. He's aware. There's a deeper consciousness, there's a deeper awareness, and it's unfortunate when you see all these people with infinite potential, but they don't take initiative, they don't have the willpower, they don't have the discipline. And it's even more unfortunate for the people that complain, but yet they don't do anything about it, even when you give them the fucking answers.
I know.
That bothers me so much, but not to a point where I'm like in an aggressive way. It's more of like you're wasting your life. Like,
I'm giving you the tools.
Here are the tools. Like if you were to give a pill to someone, it's like, okay, you want to get jacked tomorrow, will you take it? It's like, of course they will. It's like, okay, what if I told you I have the secrets to get you to where you want to be? Would you take it? It's like, yeah, but then you give it to them and they're like, oh, no, I don't. But then it's like, what does that boil down to? It's like willpower and discipline. It's like, okay, if you think about it from a rational perspective, okay, why don't you train your willpower and discipline so you're able to attain those things that follow through with everything else that you've set out in terms of ambitions and goals. And then it's like laziness. They'll come home and watch Netflix. They'll eat fucking trash food. Their physiology is all out of whack. They don't breathe properly. And then everything becomes this misconstrued, like toxic. And then same thing in life. Their career, everything is just gonna be on like a monotone, like very stable, comfortable. But you can tell they feel lifeless. Like there's no vigor, there's no vitality, there's no passion or drive.
That's the straight line, right? And that's my thing is like me and you are not fucking perfect.
Exactly.
Like we definitely have. Speaking for myself, I definitely have days. Like last night, I crushed half a tub of ice cream in a Coke float. So it wasn't even just ice cream.
Damn.
It was half a tub of ice cream in a Coke.
How did you feel afterwards?
For the first, while I was eating it, I felt amazing. And then I sat down and I felt like a bag of shit. But that's the thing, right? Is finding like a balance of these ups and downs because, and that this is what I want to get into is exactly what you were saying is like this is what I want to know your opinion on is teaching people. Because at the end of the day, like there's when I try and tell someone something, or I think I'm giving them the tools to something, okay, and who am I? I don't know shit. But I think I'm giving somebody the tools to something. And you can actually know the tools, and the people won't listen just because they don't want to.
Right.
And there's a difference when you meet someone who wants to listen and learn.
Right.
For me, for example, everybody that I meet, I'm trying to learn more from them. So depending on who that person is.
Right.
So when I meet somebody like you and we have a conversation, and I get the ability and the blessing to have the conversation with you about things like this,
right,
I want to learn all of what you're saying because I have a passion for growing.
Exactly. That's the thing.
That's
right?
the thing.
Yeah.
So sometimes you're trying to teach people who don't have the same passion as us,
right,
and that's the tough thing, and that's where I've had to separate myself from getting frustrated, because I don't try and teach people who I don't know. And maybe teach is the wrong word, but I'm going to use it. But I only try and teach the people that I know that are closest to me, because
right,
I want to benefit them.
Right.
And I am only teaching you the things that benefited me, but I'm also going to show you what I did that went wrong, so that you can save some skinned knees.
Right.
But what I've learned, and why it's so frustrating to us, because we do try and teach the people that are so close to us, is when they don't share that same passion, it's like, bro,
wake up,
man. Like, I'm trying to, like, can we not have this conversation? Like, I'm trying to help you, and vice versa, get help from you. Right. You know what I mean? Like, it's a rotating circle. So that's why I think it can get frustrating, because you want all the people who are around you to be on the same wave as you.
Right.
But unfortunately, not everyone has that same desire for personal greatness. And if they do, because everybody says they do, it's all at different levels.
Right.
Like, at what level are you willing to do this? Are you willing to be a Kobe Bryant and have that mindset of, I'm going to work day in and day out, and I'm going to be in the gym longer, and I'm going to do more exercises? Or are you of just a Joe Blow mindset where you're like, yeah, I want to do that, but like, I'm going to just take my time and do it slow at my pace, because like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just different levels. And so unfortunately, I personally have stopped trying to teach anyone who doesn't ask for me to teach them.
100%.
And I think that is what I should have done from the start, because who am I to try and teach somebody, especially if they maybe not necessarily have asked for it? I'm trying to give them advice on something.
Yeah.
So it's like, I just saved myself so much not heartache, but like
mental energy.
Yeah, mental energy by just not trying to, because man, I feel some people, I see them doing these things and they're like, why are these things going wrong? And I'm like, this is what's happening. It's right in front of you why these things are going wrong. If you just change this, that, and the third.
Right.
But they don't want to listen. They don't want to do the things to change. So it's like, and then I find myself, because I'm so close to that person, getting emotionally attached and giving them my emotional energy. And I only have 100% of emotional energy to use a day. If I give them 30%, that only leaves 70% of my energy for myself.
Right. Yeah, I've realized that too. The more I guess get older, like as time goes by, you realize, like you mentioned earlier, how precious your time and energy is. And same thing, that's one of the reasons why I started this podcast in the first place, is because it'll reach the people and connect to the people who want to listen, right? It's like I'm not going out preaching to everyone. Like, whoever wants to tap in and tune in and listen to what we have to say, and if whatever, even if like a minute resonates with them, that's good. That's good enough for me. But for the most part, I don't think I've met anyone that's opposed to growing or learning, but you give them little tidbits here and there. It's like, okay, someone's suffering from anxiety, or it's like, hey, dude, have you tried this breathing exercise? You kind of throw it out there, right? If they do it, cool. If not, that's fine too. But I've definitely been in situations like you mentioned when I was younger too, where you're trying to impose, because it's someone less close to you. It's like, hey, like, this change your perspective. But at the end of the day, it's like everybody's on their personal life journeys, because we don't know what's going on an internal level. Because I see some people, they're all smiles and on the surface level, but deep down inside, like you, me, like we don't know what's going on in our head on our darkest days, or like when I see you at the gym when we're all happy or whatever.
Yeah.
Internally, we're probably dealing with like a bunch of something, right? But at the same time, I'm aware of that in everybody I meet, because it's like, you realize that we're all human at the end of the day, and we're all dealing with all these dragons and demons, but it's like how you cope with these things and how you resolve these issues and how you tame the mind and all that kind of stuff. If you can spread that and to ease people's, like to make them become more aware and present and conscious and more loving and enjoy life, and be like, listen, like, take it easy, like life's not like that. Like, you don't need to be so anxious about everything. I've been there, I've gone out of there, but here I'm gonna toss you this information. If it helps you, cool. If not, then that's not my problem.
Yeah.
But like at the gym, for example, but that's like, you meet these people at the gym, and all the guys and the girls or whatever, they have the willpower, the discipline, the people that you see, and that's like the stepping stone, right? So everybody, even when someone has like, they're suffering from whatever it is, they have so much energy, they're not exerting it in any way, shape, or form. It's like some people are in their mid-30s, even late 20s. It's like, I don't know what my passion is. It's like, just start something. Like, try something. If you're sitting at home and you're not taking action or like pursuing something or learning or growing or reading or expanding the mind, how are you gonna know? It's not gonna just pop into your head, right?
And that's and that's what I think I take a lot of shit for,
right,
is because I have done so many different things.
Right.
I do so much different shit because I'm trying to find what it is that I like the most. You know what I mean? And
there comes a balancing act with that as well, because it can get too overwhelming.
Exactly.
I'm guilty of that sometimes as well.
You can't bite off more than you can chew.
Yeah.
But one thing that you touched on that I think is super important is when we do see each other at the gym, or when we see somebody else at the gym, whoever it might be, and we see each other, whenever we talk, it's always like a smile. Hey, how's it going? Oh, I'm good. How are you? Oh, I'm good. It's always this, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't want to give off shitty energy to other people.
Right.
And that's what I think a big thing is like, no one gives a shit about your problems. Like, no one gives a shit.
Everybody is dealing with their own things.
Yeah. And the only people who do care about your problems are those dramatic people who like problems, who have nothing else going on in their life. They live a static life, and they need these problems and these issues, these drama issues, to give them something to do, to give them some sort of up and down in their life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've experienced many people in my life in that regard, and it's actually, if you look at it from a physiological standpoint, people get addicted to that.
People do.
Like drama and just anxiety, anxious, depression, all that, because your body, it's a chemical soup, right? You're pumped up with cortisol, you're pumped up with adrenaline all the time, and you get hooked on that feeling. So when you don't have that, it's like you feel off of your normal state. And then transitioning from that and like staying in that state where there's nothing wrong, you feel like you have your life feels like there's nothing going on because it's uneventful in a sense. But then that's perceived in a wrong notion, because that's not how you should perceive it. It's like
that's an internal issue.
It's an internal issue. Yeah.
That person has an internal issue. But this is what I mean, and this is why I say no one gives a shit about your problems.
Right.
Because the people who you do like, don't get me wrong, your mom probably gives a shit about your problems.
Right.
But if I sit here for an hour and a half and we talk about all the things that are going bad in my life right now, because we could, I'm sure we could about you too. Everybody could. You could get in that downward spiral.
But that's a victim mindset.
It's a victim
that's
mindset.
Where it stems from, right? It's they're putting themselves in a position where it's like, I have no control over my life situation, help me.
And that's the thing is,
like,
it's a downward spiral, because if we sat here and we talked about that, I would leave here feeling worse. Yes, I would have gotten all that off my chest.
Right.
But I would leave here still in the same position. Why would you spend your time complaining, bitching, and bringing negative energy into your life and somebody else's, when you could go have great energy with that person, talk about all the good things, look at the higher perspective of your life and where you're at, and then you leave there feeling empowered. You feel clear of the mind. You feel better about yourself. You know what I mean? But I think a huge part of that is just surrounding yourself with those people who aren't addicted to the dramatic type stuff, because
I guess on an odd chance there are people that are looking for help. Like, let's say they look up to you and they need some. It's like, are you looking for advice, or are you looking to vent and just be a pessimist?
Exactly.
I feel like that's where the line has to be drawn. And there are a lot of people that just have a pessimistic mindset that you can't shift, and it's not your job to shift that. And then if they're venting and complaining, it's like, well, like you said, it's like, I don't need this toxic energy.
No.
And even for me, when it comes to that kind of stuff, I usually kind of evade and distance myself from those type of, because it does brush off on you.
Yeah, it does.
And you want to be surrounded not by like pretend positivity and stuff, but people that realize that, yeah, you're going through shit, I'm going through shit, but I'm not gonna focus on that stuff. We're gonna pursue things to better ourselves in our lives and like continue grinding. But like you said, I'm not gonna unload all my garbage on you, expecting you to listen and just for the sake of listening.
Yeah.
Do you read a lot of books?
I don't read a lot, to be honest. I read
audio
like
books?
financial news.
Okay,
and
so
stuff
it's more
like that,
catered towards.
Yeah, I don't read a lot of books. That's something that I've wanted to do more, but I just find I'm actually okay. I haven't talked about this with anyone yet.
Okay.
I'm actually writing a book.
Okay, so there you go.
So it's called the 24-hour workday.
Okay.
So how many hours are there in a week again?
What is it? 24 times 7. Do the math.
Oh, don't put me on the spot for doing the math.
47 times 7, 49. 189.
Okay, so let's say it's 189. Okay. The 189-hour work week.
Okay.
Whatever it is. Because in my opinion, every single thing that I'm doing, whether it be sleeping, relaxing, whatever it is, I'm working. It's all me working towards my goal.
Okay.
Whether I'm watching TV to relax my brain, whether I'm meditating, whether I'm going to the gym, whether I'm eating, all of those things I consider work.
Yeah.
I'm working. So rather than like these 5-hour work weeks and minimizing everything, minimizing the time to do everything, why don't we look at it as a full scale? Every single thing I'm doing is working towards a goal.
Right.
So that every hour, every minute of the day, whether it is, because relaxation is so key.
Right.
That is a huge key to recovery.
100%.
That's work. Recovery for me is work. I have my shoulder issue right now, so I'm trying to stay out of the gym. It is so hard for me to stay away from the gym.
Right.
That's work for me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's the spin that I'm trying to look at it. But nah, I don't read a lot.
I think it's more of the way I see it was similar to that, but it's more of becoming the strongest version of yourself, like Elliot Hulse puts it. But on a day-to-day basis, it's like, as long as you're better than who you were yesterday, like you put your best foot forward. Same thing, growth. Like you're putting in the work to become better and better. The days will turn into weeks, and a great week will turn into a great month, and then there's exponential value in the exponential growth, and then the accomplishments and all that kind of stuff, instead of being stagnant, which most people are. So it's like that one day you go to the gym, okay, you're not gonna get jacked after one day. You have to break it down into, like, after a year you probably see results. But that's the society we live in, instant gratification, right? So you need to snap out of that and look at the present moment. That's what it is, ultimately, right?
Well, that's why I'm writing the book too, right? Is because I hate the look and the, I guess, what people associate with the word work.
Right.
Like, I don't know why work has to be like such this terrible thing.
There's
hard
negative
work,
connotation to it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? There's work and then there's fun.
Right.
Why does it have to be like that?
Right.
If you can effectively blend those into one thing where you're happy and you're working and everything that you're doing is work to build to a higher goal, why can't that be a thing? I understand hard work.
Right.
I get the term hard work, but I just don't think work needs to have this negative connotation behind it. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of what it's developed into, you know, like it's like entrepreneurs need to work and grind 100,000 hours and like, okay, yeah, that's cool, you have to work hard, but like it doesn't have to be this shitty depressing thing in your room by yourself alone on a computer with the lights dim, fucking drinking energy drinks and ramen noodles. It doesn't have to be like that.
Right. There needs to be a balance.
There has to be a balance, a work balance.
Quality of work too. That's important, right? Because you can
Exactly.
only attain so much quality work. Like if you're working for 16 hours straight, you'll probably be very productive for the 6 to 8 hours, let's say at most. After that, you're just spinning your wheels.
Exactly.
Right. So for someone that like people that say, yeah, I work 80 hours a week and like I'm on the grind, is like honestly like, how many of those hours are actually productive? Where, let's say you went to the gym, you took care of yourself, you rested, and then you got back on the wheel and like you cranked out that high rep work, right? Like the fully driven and like ambitious and motivated versus that like very slow, because like you do get sluggish after a while. Even on my 9 to 5, like the first, I want to say 5 to 6 hours, like I'm on. After that, you start to slow down, right?
If you work a 9 to 5, you don't work 40 hours a week.
Exactly, right?
You're not working the whole 40 hours.
So
you might be at an office for 40 hours.
Yeah.
But you're not working for the whole 40 hours.
So that's when you break it down like that and you look for ways to optimize your time, and like when you take your lunch, you're actually stepping away. Some people eat at their desk and they continue to work. But same thing, it's like the amount of work they probably get done in 3 hours, I could probably do in a half an hour depending on what it is. But the level of mental clarity you have and the drive you have. So yeah, quality of work, like you mentioned, it's like you need to have a balance,
and that's why guys like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos like
are able to manage so many things at once, right?
Exactly, because they have this balance. I mean, they have a great advantage. They have people scheduling their shit for them, which is cool, but at the end of the day, we all have the same ability to do that. But one thing that I want to get your opinion on is, who do you compete against? Because there's always like this, your competition is yourself. You want to get better than you were yesterday.
Right.
That's awesome.
Right.
But do you think there has to be a mix of both to create a competitive edge? Like, you look, for me, looking at all of the best athletes, the best entrepreneurs, the best of anything, they not only have that I want to be better than myself every day. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't think I've ever heard one of those guys say, I want to be better. I want to be better than I was yesterday. Right. They all say, I want to be the best.
Yeah.
I want to be the fucking best.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right.
So, me, I'm trying to still find that balance of, am I competing against myself? Is it better for me personally to compete against myself every day, or better for me to compete against myself and other people, or other people? And I think I've found it's been better to have a mix of both, because I'm very motivated by competition. And myself yesterday isn't necessarily my strongest competitor. Right. The guy over there on the other side of the gym, who, like, for example, I was at the gym the other day doing deadlifts, and I was finishing my deadlift sets, and this guy walked up, and he's smaller than me, and he was like, hey man, can I deadlift with you? And I was like, yeah, of course. Like, how many plates? I had 3 plates on the bar. I was like, how many plates do you want me to take off? He was like, no, that's all good, that's my warm-up. I'm like, dude, that's like 315 pounds. That's your warm-up? He's like, yeah, man, I'm going to probably go up to 450 today. Yeah. I looked at this guy, I'm like, this guy is fucking crazy. Right. Like, okay, yeah, and I'm gonna train with you, bro.
Yeah.
So I'm like nearing the end of my deadlift session, but sure as shit, this guy steps up. I'm like, this guy's gonna break his back. He hasn't even warmed up yet. Boom, he fucking pulls it like nobody's business, man.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit, man, you made that look like butter. Like, you made that look so easy. And he was like, yeah, I've been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
Like, I'm an ex-football player. Like, he was shorter than me, but he probably had 35 pounds. He was a $185. So I'm like, okay, now I got to compete.
Right.
Now I'm pushing myself. Now I was doing 300 that day because the last week on my program it said to do this and this. I was doing less weight last week, and myself yesterday was at 300. But this guy is at fucking 400. He's way farther than me. And I'm like, nah, this is not cool. So I step up to the bar. Instead of doing the 315 that I was doing, I put 365 on the bar and I smashed it. And I was like, whoa, I would have never done that if this guy wasn't here.
Right, yeah.
So that's my question to you.
I think it comes down to different aspects of life, but I feel like it all comes down to your mindset, and we do limit ourselves. But being exposed to legendary people, like whether it's legendary artists or whatever, shows you what you can aspire to attain. But obviously, if you say you want to be the best and you set the bar, you're going to reach a level much higher than that. So for me, when I say I want to be better than I was yesterday, it's more of me proving to myself that I'm doing everything to the best of my ability. But ultimately, on a broader level, I'm competing with literally everyone, right? Like, there's days where I come home and I go to the gym, I meal prep, I cook or whatever, I clean, and then I run some errands, I have another class, I come home, I sit on the computer, it's like 10:30 at night. So I sit down and then I'm like, should I create something, a piece of art? And I'm dead tired and I have to wake up at 7 in the morning. The gym, everything, cold shower, meditation, everything's out of the way. It's like the average person would probably sit on their phone or like watch Netflix, and I at that moment I go, fuck it, I'm doing something right now. But it's like more of a broader perspective of like, you know what, I'm gonna do the things that make me the most uncomfortable just to prove to myself that I'm capable of doing that. And then when it comes to people that you look up to or that are already at a level like the guy that deadlifted that much, you realize like that's possible, I'm gonna try to surpass that. But you always have that as a target base. Like, you're aware of, like, you can keep pushing yourself. And then when you keep doing this over an extensive length of time, you reach those legendary. If you want to get obsessive about it, like how you want to be the best ever, as long as it doesn't impede on your mental clarity and makes you, I don't know, because some of those like legendary people are unhappy, like some of them might not be, they might be happy and content, but that takes a level of like hardcore suffering. So if you're willing to accept that, I'm of the notion like I'm gonna push myself to like, I want to say 80 to 90%, but not to the point where it's detrimental to my mental well-being, because it's like, do I want to be the best at if the outcome is to a point where I attain like ultimate wealth or whatever, then okay, yeah, you can push yourself. But it's like, do you want to enjoy life for what it is while actually succeeding? It's like, yeah, you want to do that as well. So I guess it depends on where what you prioritize in life and like the things that are fulfilling to you as a person. Whether you want to throw away all your family, everything, and just grind for 10 years and like become a legend, that's different. That's you have to make that agreement with yourself, for example. But for me, it's more of a not so much balance, but like pushing yourself to your limit, constantly pushing that limit further and further as the resist, because you're like-minded in the same sense that we don't like the comfort zone. We like to push. That's where the growth comes, right? And it's the same thing when you go to the gym, you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. We're not going and lifting the same weight every week, but in doing so we plateau sometimes. But then that's when you need to surround yourself with those type of people that are actually above you. So it's healthy competition. It's in our nature. So
that's, I think, the biggest key is healthy competition.
Healthy competition.
Like you have to have that healthy competition to push you. Like my cousin just moved here from a small town of like 2,000 people.
Right.
Now he lives in Toronto, right in the center of downtown.
Just scaled up.
Times a
Exponential.
million. Yeah, literally times a million.
It's probably like culture shocked.
Oh, But we've been going to the gym every day, and he started training. I've been training for a long time now.
Yeah.
He started training a couple of years ago, and he's bigger than I am. Like, he's like 6 feet something. He's like a bigger dude. He's 185 pounds. And you could tell when he moved here, he was like I could bench more than he could. I could squat more, deadlift more. Like, my weights were just higher than his, because even though I'm a smaller guy, I've been doing it for a long time, and I have a high level of mental toughness to push myself to move these weights.
Right.
So we would compete. When we're competing, me and my cousin, when we're in the gym, every single time that we're in there.
Right.
But it's a healthy competition. I know that when Josh kicks it up, he's going to be able to deadlift more than me, bench press more than me, squat more than me, do everything at a higher weight than me. He's bigger than I am. And his aspirations are very fitness focused. He's a personal trainer, he wants to do that. I know he's going to be bigger than me, so I love that, but we're still competing, and he's trying to get his weights higher. I'm trying to stay higher than him. Last week, he out-squatted me. Now his max squat is higher than mine. I told him, I said, Josh, this is only the first one. I said, you are going to beat me in bench press, deadlift, everything that we do, you are going to beat me.
Right.
But I'm going to make it so fucking hard for you that it's not going to be easy. And that competition, that level of competition, like of encouraging competition, is going to push us to a place way farther than we thought we could have gone. So I think that healthy competition is needed, but it has to be healthy. You can't let it get to a jealous
an envious point.
An envious
so same
point.
Yeah, when you go to the gym, like when you see a big guy, like my mindset or whatever, like he's fit or whatever, is like, how did he reach that level to where he's at? What can I implement in my life to attain the same level of achievement, right? It's not fuck that guy, he's just genetically blessed, because you're not going to get anywhere with that. And that correlates to every aspect of life, right? Successful people, like wealthy people that make millions of dollars from trading. It's like those people, like they started from ground zero at some point. It's like, what steps did they take to reach the level that they're at? Right, and there's a process. They learn, they grow, they read, they interact.
But they wanted to learn.
But that's the thing: having an open mind and being able to absorb things that benefit you towards what your ambitions and goals are is what's important. And following and taking action and initiative and not being lazy.
Yeah.
And same thing. It's a very step by step, taking it one step at a time, but at a pace where you're not. It's healthy. That's the thing. Yeah.
But that's my thing, right? Is people who do that are people who want to learn.
Right.
Like when I go to the gym and I see some of these guys who are massive, like clearly on some very high levels of supplements, and they've been training for years, and they're just fucking massive.
Can't fit through doors and shit.
No, like, and I don't want to be that big, but I would love to be 200 pounds. Like, because my dad used to be a pro bodybuilder.
Right.
So I've always wanted to be like my dad. Like, I would love to be that big. Instead of me saying, fuck that guy, he did steroids, he took a pill and the next day he was... Because no, it doesn't work like that.
Right.
Instead of that, and my cousin even looks at me sometimes and he's like, dude, you just went up to that guy and asked... I go up to these guys and I say, hey man, your rear delts are fucking stupid big. Like, I don't know what you did to get what's your I'm trying to get massive like you, you motivate me. Like, what is your
but on the
biggest
on natural tip?
Yeah, like what's your best? I don't say what's your favorite steroid that you take. I say what's your
Some guys
favorite?
are pretty open about that.
Oh yeah, no,
like, nah,
they're all nice
steroids,
guys.
bro.
But yeah, they just no. But what? Because a lot of those guys who do steroids will tell you not to do steroids.
Yeah, 100%.
Because there's a lot of after effects that happen, bro.
Yeah.
And so I don't ask him about that. I ask him what's your exercise that targets your rear delts the best, because I want rear delts like that. You know what I mean?
Because those guys,
they know what they're doing.
They're investing in everything.
They have a level of
down
expertise.
to a T, right? Yeah.
But I want to learn from them. It's like those stupid videos you see on Instagram where it's like, I'm not posting this for people to be jealous. It's for motivation. I would never post a video like that. You will never see me one day when I buy something stupid, like a Richard Mille or some stupid thing. You'll never see a video of me. This is for motivation. But I understand it. I don't look at those guys and say, fuck that guy. He's an asshole. Like, I look at that guy and I'm like, you know what, man? I get it. Like, you worked so fucking hard for so long. Something happened to you where you were financially able to achieve your dreams, and you bought that watch. I get it, bro. Like, that motivates me, because me personally, I see the backstory, which is what everyone's problem is right now. They only see the front. They only see where people are at now. They do not see the backstory. Me, I see the struggle that people had to go through. That's the part that motivates me. That's the shit that fires me up. The fact that someone was homeless, someone didn't get to eat for a week. Jorge Masvidal slept in his car. These big name guys like that, they come from these lows and they achieve these crazy things. I don't give a fuck about the house he lives in right now. I care about what he did, what he went through to become the resilient champion and person that he is today. You know what I mean? But that's my thing, is when I look at that, I can see past the facade of, okay, yeah, this guy has a $400,000 watch, but that's not what I see from this video. I see years of grinding, of your mom and dad telling you, Lucas, move home, of your grandparents saying, Lucas, move home, of like nights up all night eating shitty food, or like not being able to do certain things that you want to do because you're sacrificing in other areas. So I don't know, I think that's a huge problem, and I wish more people who were already successful showed the shitty end of things. You know?
I don't think a lot of people realize that you need to suffer a little bit in order to... for some people, like, they're blessed and they don't have to go through that, but everybody that I've met that has a very, like you said, like, resilient attitude towards life, they've gone through shit and they've come out the other side. There's a polarity, there's a duality. They know what's that dark side, and once they've been in that, they've grown and become the strongest version of themselves through those ups and downs. But yeah, that's why when I come across people like yourself, it's like the vibe is there. It's like he's going through the same stuff I'm going through. It's relatable, right? And everything that I say and everything that he tells me resonates on a deeper level. And yeah, that's one of the reasons I started this podcast too, like just to express these type of things, because it correlates to all aspects of life, and more often than not, like everybody that we come across, they will resonate with this on a deeper level, open up, spark some passion or whatever it is. They'll be like, oh, I didn't think of that way, or but
no, it's just changing perspectives, right? Like, and that's why I like spending time with you, because it changes my perspective on things. So, like, when we have conversations like this, and like I myself personally can get so caught up in my head, and I try every day, because like I said, what motivates me, going home to my family. I try so hard every day to get as much done as I can, as fast as I can, so that I can make that day come faster. And then these things start to spiral, and you get anxious, and you get
into these
tight in the
negative
chest,
thought patterns,
and you get like this anxious feeling, you know what I mean? And for me, when I get caught up like that, and when I get in that zone, because no one's perfect, no one who does these podcasts or whatever and talks about mental health and mental clarity, no one has a 10 out of 10 every day.
Yeah, but that's why they do these type of things, because everybody, even people that I know that are successful, they have everything. They're still suffering on a mental level, but it's more of how do you cope with these things.
Yeah.
And expressing these type of things on these platforms shows that nobody's perfect.
Exactly.
Even when you attain everything, you're still gonna have these mental ups and downs, but it's like, how do you cope with these things? And everybody deals with it differently. Like you said, for me, for example, if I'm not creative, if I'm not following my dream and my goal and my ambition, I start to get anxious, and the low vibes, like low frequency depression starts to kick in. But that's like a signal for me. It's like, listen, you're not on your path. Like, what are you doing to push yourself to? And then some people are stuck in that state of mind, but then they relate it to external factors. Like, they're like, oh, my work is not, or whatever. Like, they blame it on other things. Well, internally, they're not dealing with the core fundamental things of what their true purpose is in life. Even from a health perspective, they're not eating, they're not sleeping, they're not. But that's like the initial factors that affect your true life purpose. But then the mental side of things, it's like mental hygiene. You need to take care of your mind when it comes to that kind of stuff. So meditation, like, that's, I'm gonna suggest that, like stretching 100%, especially when you're working out at the gym and lifting heavy stuff. You become so tight and tense, and then all of that, your body's literally in an armored state where you can't even breathe properly, and you're gonna be anxious all throughout. And when you're anxious, you're not gonna be able to make grounded decisions. Everything's gonna be reactive, right? And when you're in that state of mind where everything is reactive, everything that you do, every decision that you make is going to be from a position of resistance. You're not free flowing through everything. And I'm saying this because I experience it myself. There's days where everything is like, fuck, I need to do this, fuck, I need to do that. But then I catch myself, I'm like, hey, I need to stretch, I need to do some meditation, I need to do some breathing exercise, I need to take a cold shower, right? Or I need to go to the gym and like release all of this physical energy. And then when you come back, your mind is clear, and anything that you need to do, you're literally just doing it without second guessing. There's no what if situation, there's no fear associated with it, there's no overactive mind, because you're in that grounded state of mind.
And that's exactly what I was talking about at the start, by being able to step outside of yourself,
right,
and realize the situation that your body is in. Like, the way I look at it might sound crazy, but like, I literally try and separate myself from my body, like, and look at everything from that, like, a third higher level. You know what I mean? Like, right now, when I look at this from a higher level, I know that I feel good right now because, well, what did we do? We did some breathing exercises, we did some stretching, we did this. Okay, so from a higher level, I know I'm feeling good right now. I need to do other things to better myself.
It's similar to, like, on the same,
exactly,
because it benefits you as a whole, right?
But some people, and me as well, sometimes fail to step outside themselves and see that higher view. And it's not that you fail to do it, it's just a matter of how fast can you tell.
Right.
And that's why I say it's like a muscle, stepping outside of yourself, because you need to work that muscle.
As soon as those signals pop up, you need to resolve them, and realize them,
And you need to know, and man, it's it makes a lot of changes. But
yeah, no, to be honest, I appreciate those lows. Like, as shitty as they are sometimes, especially with the weather change and like the short days, like we don't see any sun, we go to work, it's like nighttime in the morning, nighttime when you leave work in the evening, and you feel it. But then it's like same thing, you do those practices even more in terms of regrounding yourself and like uplifting yourself, and then when you come out of that, you feel that much better. But yeah, conveying that kind of stuff, sharing it, like I teach mindfulness and meditation as well. Like, even on Monday, I have a class at my workplace. Like, I'm gonna start guiding people, and I sent an email breaking everything down, and then already there's so many people interested, because everybody suffers from anxiety and they want some way to like get out of that. And once they experience that shift of headspace, it's like you kind of show them, it's like, look, this is possible. Like, don't you feel good? Why wouldn't you implement this in your daily life, like, if it benefits you? And then, but it's like it's a weird thing if you think about it, because sometimes your mind gets so caught up. It's like you're trying to tell yourself what to do, but you as yourself are so like heady. But that's when you need to like just put your foot down and be like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it anyways.
Yeah.
And I know I mentioned this a lot, but cold showers, like, they literally reset your mind when it comes to that. Because when you're in the water and you're like freezing your ass off and you're like, I want to get out, and you're like, no.
And you have to focus your breathing.
Focus your breathing, everything. And then when you come out of that shower, like, the clarity of mind, like, it's like, that's like the shortcut, I feel like.
It's so much tougher to do now that it's getting cold out.
So I do it every day, and that's why I guess the Wim Hof stuff is becoming so prominent in today's society, and everybody's starting to do it because they're realizing how much clarity there is and how much benefit. Like, you become more present, and you become, I guess, player one is the analogy I use. Like, you want to be player one in your life. You don't want to be player two. You don't want to be living for the expectations of others. You want to be doing things for yourself in a way where you can benefit others, but ultimately you're living yourself through your shoes. Like, a lot of people, they suffer, they go through life because they want to impress other people, or they're doing it for society, and like, okay, I need to have that fast car. It's like, but on a deeper level, it's like, when you attain those things, are you gonna feel fulfilled or not? And then the easiest way to break that down and to see whether or not that's fulfilling is you see the people that already have those things, right? So for you, like, giving to your family, all that kind of stuff, that's going to feel fulfilling. That's a genuine purpose and drive, and that's one of my drives as well. Like, to become wealthy enough where I don't have to worry about my financial situation and support all my friends and family in a way where we're all not stressed about financial, and we have freedom, essentially. That's what it is. Not have 2 Rolexes and like Bentley, like,
exactly.
That's extra stuff. There's like cherries on top. It's like, sure, you can have that to gift yourself, but that's besides the point.
See, those are things like that are, for me, like, especially like the nice cars and the watches and whatever it is. It's not necessarily, like, don't get me wrong, one day I am gonna own one of the nicest fucking Ferraris. But it's not the Ferrari. It's the fact
getting to that point where
but not even that, bro. It's that when I get that car, I'll be able to pick my dad up or my mom up. We'll be able to, or I'll call them because I'm gonna buy it straight in Italy. I'll call them, fly my mom to Italy, and we'll be able to drive along the Italian countryside in a fucking Ferrari. Stop wherever, just eat wherever, sleep wherever we come to the fucking end of the road. You know what I mean? Like,
versus someone that does it just for status.
That's the thing. That's like, I don't necessarily give a shit about the Instagram photo. I don't care about that. Like, for example, I just pre-ordered the new Tesla truck.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, actually, no way.
So I just pre-ordered it. I got like the middle version.
It was like $49.99. It was actually pretty inexpensive.
They're affordable.
I was like, what the hell?
So I didn't pay the money right up front. So what I did was I bought it. I paid for the pre-registration. And that saves me from the costs going up of the packages or anything. And I'm calling it right now. I think everybody who paid for the pre-registration is going to get a free Tesla quad. So I'm calling that right now because they unveiled a quad too, and it charges in the back of the thing. So I pre-ordered it for 2 reasons. One, because for me it's a positive affirmation. You know what I mean? It's like that's literally the background on my laptop now. It comes out in 2021, late 2021, and that's when you have to start making the payments for the vehicle. That's 2 years from now. In 2 years, so like, I'm gonna start saving and working up towards that now. And in 2 years from now, when I buy that truck, not only will I be able to buy something as my goal of looking forward to it, I'll be able to use it as a mental motivator, and the ability that I'll be able to get, the happiness that I'll get from that truck is outstanding. It's bulletproof. I'll be able to I'll be able to take it in off-roading. Like I come from an area where there's like we live like right next to the woods and shit like that. I'll be able to go off-roading. I'll be able to like.
I thought you were gonna say you were gonna ride through the hood and stuff.
No, no, man. I want to use this thing like a camper and go hunting and fishing and like take it out. But like that's just like that's my thing. Like I just ordered the Tesla truck. Okay, but whatever. Like
but even with that, like Elon Musk, he's doing things for the advancement of society. It's not versus like a $2 million Bugatti.
Fair enough.
You're gonna be on the street. You're gonna be stuck in traffic. Like it's not.
Yeah. See, I'm just not at that level.
Right.
For me, right now, that's why I always say there's levels to this.
Right.
For me, on my scales, that is a Bugatti.
Yeah.
I'm gonna spend 60 because I got the thing that like so it's like self-driving so you can summon it and shit. I'm gonna spend $60,000 on a car.
Right.
Like that's atrocious. It's fucking crazy. But it's an investment for me because Tesla's a great investment. They have software updates you get free. The electricity obviously is like less every month, etc. But that to me at this level is like a Bugatti. Then I'm gonna hit that level, and then one day I am gonna push it to
for you to push
to a next level.
To the next level.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the reason why I got it is not so that I can go on a podcast and say I have this, or so I can take a photo and say I have this.
Right.
It's like I got this because there's multiple like I had to work for something. It was a goal, it was a motivator, it was a milestone for me. When I look at this vehicle, I see years of this and that, living away from this, like you know what I mean. So it's a little bit different. And I also think there's a reason why we do this kind of stuff, like why we work so hard. Like we need to reward ourselves. Like when you're an entrepreneur and you have no boss, there's no one sitting there saying good job today, Masu, for working 20 hours.
Thank you.
Good job, Lucas, for working 15 hours today. There's no one doing that.
Right.
So in my mind,
you need to reward yourself.
Sometimes you have to reward yourself. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah.
But that's my opinion on that. But yeah.
I think ultimately it's just freedom.
Yeah.
It's like having financial freedom, having the freedom to buy whatever toys you want. Like, if you can afford it, then why not? But yeah.
But yeah, if you can afford it, then why not? But it's just how you showcase it. You know, like you don't like if you have 10 Ferraris, you don't need to be taking photos every day of your 10 Ferraris. You know what I mean? But that's the thing. People with real wealth.
Yeah,
they don't.
If you're a billionaire, you don't usually hear. It's nothing. Yeah,
it's like, oh, whatever. There's 10 Ferraris in my garage. I don't care.
Cheat codes activated in life.
Exactly, right? Like there's all these levels to life.
All right. So if there was one thing you can, I guess, tell the audience, biggest, I guess, motivator or life tip in terms of focusing on your ambition and your goal and your drive in terms of what you want to attain in life, what would that be?
I would just say if you know what you want to do, do it, and don't listen to anyone else because everyone has their own opinion. Everyone has like an outside opinion that they'll try and cast on you based on their own life experiences.
Exactly.
And fuck those people. Like I love and appreciate everyone's opinion, and I thank you for everything. But at the end of the day,
everything you're saying right now.
Yeah,
because it resonates with me so much.
Yeah, I'm gonna do whatever I want, and the people I've like I was talking about Kobe earlier. The people I follow are the highest of the high and the best of the best, and they sat there and they didn't say, I'm gonna compete with myself yesterday. They said I'm gonna be the best. You know what I mean? And they didn't give a shit what Bill, Sally, or Joe said about them. You just put your head down and work. And that's my thing. Is at the end of the day, the work that you put in will show for itself.
It speaks for itself.
Exactly.
Fruits of your labor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's it, man. Just keep your head down and work, and sometimes you got to put your middle finger up.
Fuck everybody, just
And
do what you gotta do.
Yep. And you know what? Last thing before we kick this off, my one piece of advice to every young entrepreneur out there, because there seems to be this thing going on right now where nobody wants to wear a suit, and it's like cool to not be able to wear a suit.
Right.
If you're a young entrepreneur and you don't you're not fucking Mark Zuckerberg. You can't walk around every day in a shirt and jeans and Skechers. If you want to be taken seriously as a young entrepreneur who's actually on their grind, doing their thing, you need to look the part. So this whole thing about no suits and this, that, and the third, that's cool. But if you want to be taken seriously, because trust me, I've been shooed out of a lot of boardrooms due to my age and lack of experience or whatever it is. But as soon as you put a suit on and a tie,
first impressions
are everything.
As much as you want to say that they aren't, they actually
are. And people will judge you, and I don't care what society says, people will judge you. And
no, but even if you think about it, like if you come into a meeting with a hoodie and a fitted cap on, like, what's the impression going to be? You're automatically going to be associated with, I don't know, is this guy going to break dance or hip hop or rap? Or
well, even with this video today, I was sitting there getting dressed, and I was like, there's either two ways I could go. I could go in a suit and a tie. This
is more casual vibes, but I get where
that's
you're
what
coming from.
Right? But no matter what the vibe is, you can always
be presentable.
You know what I mean? Because when I went to Silicon Valley, I was the youngest guy in the room, with the smallest company in the room.
Right.
I had a suit, a tie. All these other people are presenting in hoodies with their company logo and shit on it.
Right.
I had a suit and a tie. When I walked on stage, there wasn't a single person on their phone.
You mean business?
That they took me so seriously because their first impression was, holy shit, I don't know what this guy does, but he's serious about it. And that's, at the end of the day, that's the best advice that I can give.
Man, thank you so much for coming on board. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you as a person.
Yes.
But much love, much respect.
Yes.
And
we should do this again in like 9 months or 12 months. And just kind of catch up.
For you.